Okay, so my name's Melissa, and I'm here today to talk to you about brain health. And we're going to be cooking a meal with a lot of the ingredients that are actually really good for our brain health. So, if you haven't met me, I am the supervisor of the exercise and wellness program at Community Care. So, we're going to get going. So, I have kind of a little picture here of something similar to what we're going to make today. So if you're following along, that's fine. And if not, this will be uploaded on YouTube at some point, hopefully later in the week or the next couple weeks, in case you want to try this on your own time. So step one, so we have our salmon and it is thawed, and I already have it in my baking dish here with some parchment paper. So what we'll do is we'll go through the recipe, and then on the next slide, I'll explain to you how the different ingredients are good for you, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get my maple syrup that I have. So I like using the pure maple syrup. If you have, Aunt Jemima's or any other kind, that's fine, but this is just a little bit more nutritious for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the 2 tablespoons of maple syrup in my bowl here. And then I'm gonna get my soy sauce. So I usually like to buy soy sauce that it has lower, or no, I should say non-GMO. Um, it's getting a little expensive, so this one is less sodium because soy sauce can be very high in sodium, so you do want to make sure you're careful with that. But I do generally like buying the stuff that is non-GMO as well, which is just genetically modified ingredients. So I like to try to avoid that as much as I can. So I have my 1 tablespoon in there, and then I am just going to kind of guesstimate. That's what I like to call it, a 1/4 tablespoon. Okay, because if you get a little bit more in there, it's not terrible. And then I'm gonna add in the Dijon mustard. So 1/2 tablespoon of Dijon, and I get the old-fashioned Dijon mustard. So it's a little grainy there. I don't know if you can see it very well. Then I'm gonna just put that in the bowl here. And then we have our garlic. So I like fresh garlic. I mean, sometimes I buy the stuff in the container that's already minced. I do find that the fresh garlic gives you, it tastes fresher. You can taste it a lot more, and it does have better benefits for you. So I'm going to just take my little garlic clove and press it through my nice handy press here and scrape that off. And then I'm just going to whisk this all together. Okay, and then you got something, you can kind of see that, but it's just like very liquidy. When you do put it in the oven, it is going to thicken up. So you just put about 1/2 of it on your salmon. I'm going to go turn on my oven too. That's one thing. First step, I forgot. I'm going to go turn that on. Okay, so we got that on. So I'm going to now pour 1/2 of this onto my piece of salmon and try to coat it as much as you can. Sometimes one of my tricks too is I like to make this beforehand and let it soak in that maple syrup, in that glaze. So I'm just gonna now wait for the oven to heat up, but I'm gonna set this to the side. And we're gonna go on to the next slide here. So health benefits of salmon. So salmon is one of the best fish we can eat for our brain. It's full of omega-3, a fatty acid that provides more oxygen to the brain and allows us to retain new information as long as old information. Also, salmon, it has a lot of vitamin B12, which helps support our mental health and memory loss. So there is a lot of other fish that is good for you too, and we will talk about that later, but salmon is definitely one of the best ones for brain health. So pure maple syrup. So that's what I was talking about earlier. So because it's natural, right? It comes from our trees. That's how we get our maple syrup or the pure maple syrup. Um, it has a lot of really good benefits. So it's linked to protecting the brain cells against neural damage, which are linked to Alzheimer's disease. It is also a really great natural sweetener. Sometimes I like to use it in my coffee or in different recipes that call for sugar, because again, it is that natural sugar. I also really do like to try to buy local stuff. We have a lot of really great local family businesses that sell maple syrup. It can be a little bit more pricey. Like I think this little bottle was probably, I think it was $9.99, which is really expensive, but you can sometimes get this on sale. And if you're buying from local, it can be a little bit lower price as well. And then we have our soy sauce. So we want to use this sparingly. So that's why we just put a little bit in it because it can be very high in sodium and it can be high in GMOs, which is that genetically modified ingredients that we do want to try to avoid. A lot of different products have a label now and they say non-GMO product. So that's what to look for if you want to try to avoid that. But again, those products can be a little bit more costly. So you just have to be mindful of that. And then Dijon mustard, along with other mustards too, are very low calorie and low fat condiments. So it can be added to a lot of our dishes. If we're looking to, have lower calories and low fat, and it's good, it's nice and flavorful. And then garlic. So garlic is a great antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, linked to supporting overall brain health and reduces the risk of cognitive decline by reducing inflammation on the brain and also protecting against nerve cell degeneration. So just the breakdown of our cells. So yeah, garlic, fresh garlic, always good to be adding in. It's also great to prevent, colds and sicknesses, that sort of thing as well. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next slide here, and this is our step 2. So we're making a salad for our side dish for our salmon. So we're gonna make a homemade dressing, which is really exciting. So you can buy, balsamic vinegar dressing in store, but again, it comes with a lot of list of ingredients that sometimes we don't even know what they are. So this is something fresh and it's easy to whip up. This is going to make a little bit more than what you need for this salad. So you can store it for a little bit in your fridge. Okay, I would say about 5 to 7 days you want to use it before then. Okay, I'm just gonna pop the salmon into the oven and set my timer. So it was 15 to 20 minutes. I usually set it for 15 and give it a check and to avoid overcooking it. I'm gonna set my timer. Okay, so now we're moving on to the dressing. So we're gonna add in a 1/4 cup of olive oil. So I like the extra virgin olive oil. And we're gonna add in a 1/4 cup. So I'm just gonna mix all the rest of the ingredients in this measuring cup. So we got balsamic vinegar, which is 1.5 tablespoons. Oh, I might be on my last little bit here. We got 1, and then we got 1/2. This is one of my favorite dressings. I make it a lot. Okay. And then we're gonna get our Dijon mustard. So a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. and then 2 tablespoons of honey. So I'm going to be using raw honey rather than, you can get pasteurized honey from the store. That's usually what a lot of people buy. This is unpasteurized, so it does have a lot more health benefits than pasteurized honey. So it is a little bit, it's not as clear. It's a little bit, what do they call that? Opaque, thicker, and it's a little thicker to work with. So I take a knife in there, and then there's 1 teaspoon, 2 total. Okay. And then we're gonna add in just a pinch of salt and pepper. So I just have my little salt and pepper shaker. So I'm just gonna do a couple turns of that, of each of these. And then I'm gonna grab my whisk. Then we're just gonna whisk that all together. So everything's nice and combined there. That looks pretty good. I'll probably give it another stir before we put it on the salad there. Oh, one more thing. We have garlic. I forgot my garlic. A little bit more garlic in this too. Okay, so I'm going to use my press. I love this thing. This is so handy for garlic. Mind you, it is kind of a bit of a pain to clean, but it's very nice and easy to use. You just put the garlic in this little piece here and then press it, and it comes right through these little holes here. Okay, now I'm going to stir that garlic in there. And then I'm just going to put this over to the side. And we'll move on to the next slide here and we'll go through some of these ingredients. So olive oil. So olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fatty acids, which may promote neurogenesis. So neurogenesis means the new neurons forming in the brain. These are important for learning and memory. So when that's promoted, then it's going to help our learning and memory. Also contains vitamin E and polyphenols that contain antioxidant properties to help promote the brain and protect the brain and improve brain function. So olive oil is a very good substitute to, canola oil or vegetable oil. It has a lot better nutrients and in it than those oils for sure. So if you can, try to substitute it. Some people don't like the taste of olive oil. They say it doesn't taste as good as the other oils. Sometimes those things just take a little bit of time to get used to. If you're not used to it, I really don't notice a difference, but that's just me. And then, so balsamic vinegar, so contains acetic acid bacteria, which is necessary for creation of new brain tissue. Also contains the flavonoid quercetin, which can help protect brain cells from oxidative stress, suppress inflammation of nerve cells, and protect the brain from toxins, brain cells from toxins. So balsamic vinegar is really good. I like to use it on to marinate vegetables, even like in a stir fry. I use it for a lot of dressings or to cook even with beef. I find it really good. So you can kind of play around with balsamic vinegar if it's new to you, but it is one of the higher content of acetic acid than other vinegars. So it is, better for your brain health than other vinegars as well. And then raw honey, or we talked about pasteurized. So raw honey is unpasteurized. So pasteurized is when they boil it, and when you boil honey, then it does take away some of the nutrients that are in it and some of the antibacterial properties of it as well. So unpasteurized honey, so we talked about it, it does look a little bit it's have like more of a solid color, like it's not as runny, so it's a little thicker to work with as well. There's actually a lot of places around, at least around me, that sell raw honey as well. So you can find, a local bee farmer. There's quite a few in the area, or sometimes they do sell it. Like this one I got from the grocery store. So yeah, what you're looking for is unpasteurized honey or raw honey, which is full of many ingredients containing antioxidants, antibacterial properties, and many nutrients protecting against damage to brain cells that affect our memory function. So next, so we're gonna make our salad now. So I like to use spring mix. It has a different variety of baby lettuces. Um, so I've already taken that and put it in my bowl here. So about 2 handfuls. And then I just honestly take it out of the package that it came in, and I just kind of like break it up into bite-sized pieces. I don't go through the trouble of cutting it up. I just find breaking it off with my hands very easy, but that's up to you. And then we have our red beet. So I have boiled and peeled it. So if you are working with beets, they can be very messy. But that's okay. So usually boiling them, for 20 to 30 minutes until you can put a fork through it. And then I find that I dump out the boiling water once they are finished, and then I pour cold water on there and let them sit for a little bit, and then I just find them so much easier to peel. So that's kind of a tip for you if you've worked with beets before and they kind of driven you nuts. And then there's usually like 2 knots at either end, and I just slice those off. Um, so my beets are cold. I had them in the fridge. I've already boiled them. They've already been cut up. I just cut them into little cubes, like bite-sized cubes. So about 1 centimeter or so. So I have those. And then we have our goat cheese, walnuts, and blueberries. So I'm going to take some of that dressing first, and we're going to coat the leaves. I like doing that first. So I just make sure they all are covered in that delicious dressing. So I'm going to add some of this to the salad. As I said, I made quite a bit, so there's going to be quite a bit left over there. And then I just have my little tongs here, and I'm going to just mix that around. And then I'm going to grab my plate. And I'm going to toss that on my plate here. I will show you guys the final effect up close. I know you're just seeing a very small picture of me right now. And then I'm going to put my walnuts on top. So I have a tablespoon of them. I have a tablespoon of blueberries that I've already washed and prepared. And then I have my goat cheese. So not everyone's a fan of goat cheese too, but that's okay. You can always use something else. Feta cheese is a good substitute, or any cheese, just a little bit, because who doesn't love cheese, right? Cheese makes us happy, which I think is good for our brain. Anyways. Okay, so we have that. And then I'm going to put my beets on top. So it's quite a big salad, but you know what? That's okay. Salad's good for us. And then I'm going to just drizzle a little bit more of this dressing on top. Actually, I'm going to take my spoon. Just pour a little extra on top. Okay. And that's that. So I'm going to go to our next screen here, and I'm going to put this off to the side. So leafy greens. Okay, so there's quite a few that you can get. So kale is a good one. Spinach, collards. They all are full of really good nutrients, like potassium, lutein, folate, and beta carotene, which may help slow cognitive decline. Red beets, so these are rich in the compound nitrate, which dilates blood vessels, helping to increase blood flow to the brain, which can help improve the performance of our brain. So red beets are delicious. They're full of other nutrients as well, but I love cooking with beets. And then goat cheese. So goat cheese is also rich in potassium, which helps support the function of our nervous system, including our brain. Contains an amino acid called tryptophan that helps produce serotonin, which regulates mood and sleep. And as I said, a little bit of cheese. I think there's so many people that love cheese, and eating things that make us happy are also really good for our brain overall and our mood, in moderation, of course. And then walnuts. So walnuts are an excellent source of protein and omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the fatty acid ALA, which can help improve cognitive performance and prevent age-related cognitive decline, like things like our memory. So this can help maintain or improve our memory. Also rich in vitamin E, which is associated with improved cognitive function. And then we have our blueberries. So berries just in general are full of antioxidants, which are great for boosting the brain. Berries are high in flavonoids, which are effective at generating new brain cells, improving memory, and helps the overall function of our body as well. Okay. Next. Okay, so step 4. So I still have a couple minutes left on the salmon that I put in. So I did actually already cook some of our salmon, which I will show you briefly. Let's go through the rest of this and we will, I'll show you the meal at the end here. So other brain healthy foods are eggs, dark chocolate, other nuts like almonds, pecans, pumpkin seeds are really great for our brain, pomegranates, green tea, so caffeine. So green tea has a little bit of caffeine, but caffeine like coffee, I would just be very mindful of how much you are consuming. But it can help improve our performance and focus, all those sort of things. Turmeric, which is another great spice that you can use for different foods, and it is a great anti-inflammatory as well. Broccoli, which is another part of our like dark greens, it is very good for your brain health, and oranges. All right, and then so community care, we have hot and frozen meals available. There's very great healthy options. There is some fish options actually with our frozen meals as well. They're a great cost and can be delivered to your door. You can pick them up, and it is also a great wellness check as well. Meals on Wheels is when they're being delivered to your home. Our volunteers are making sure that you're answering the door to receive your meal. So making sure that you're okay and something hasn't happened, and then usually we're following up with you as well. So those are just great things to consider. My timer's going off. So, I skipped one thing. I thought so. So the fish, sorry, I wanted to come back here for a moment. So salmon is one of those really fatty fishes that are good for you. The other ones that are higher on the list for brain health are trout, tuna, specifically they said albacore. I'm not really too familiar with all the various tunas, but I think just a regular tuna would be good too. Herring and sardines. So sardines are a great thing that you can get canned and just pop them out when you're wanting them. If you like sardines, sardines I think are not everyone's cup of tea, but if you're looking to improve your brain, that's another good option as well. All right, we're gonna come back here and I am going to take out my salmon here. And I'm also gonna try to come up here. There we go. There. Okay, I'm gonna just grab that salmon. I wanted to say too, so there is a trick with salmon. I usually take a fork and put it through like the fattiest part of the salmon. And then if it easily comes apart, then it's usually done. If you put the fork through it and it's a little mushy, that's kind of like the other consistency of salmon, then I would pop it back in the oven for like 5 more minutes. Okay, so that's another trick as well. So I'm gonna just show you guys what this looks like. This is a big hunk of salmon. Well, there we go. There is our meal here, if you guys can see it okay. I do have some leftover glaze that I can add to the top of that as well. There was a little bit in the pan. And then our nice salad here. Looks pretty good. And that, I think, is it. Oh, here, I'll show you what that looks like, actually, that salmon. So when I put a fork through it, this is like the fattiest part of the salmon. It easily comes apart. You can see those flakes coming off really easy. And that is that. So if you want to, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask me. There is time. Or even if you want to pop on and say hi.
How much honey was in that dressing?
2 teaspoons.
2 teaspoons.
2 teaspoons.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Carol, I can send you the recipe if you want. Separate or yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Could you send
Yeah.
could you send to me too, Mel?
I sure can. Do you want like the salmon and the salad?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes. I can get
Okay.
your copy.
So, Lori, I'll send it to you and Helen and Carol. Yeah, no
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate that.
I make
Yeah,
that.
I like salmon.
Oh, and I make this salmon recipe every time I make it, and I've had people over for dinner and they don't like salmon. And
Oh.
yeah, and I know. I mean, some people really don't like it. It is more of one of the like fishier tasting fish, right? Rather than
Yeah.
tilapia or bassa or whatever, but it's so good for you. Like it's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. But it's getting so expensive.
It is getting really expensive. So I try to look like Costco has, and I'm not promoting Costco by any means, but they do have, and it's gotten pretty expensive too, but they have a bag full of salmon and it's pre-portioned. I think I usually buy it for $32.99 and it gives you about roughly, depending on the piece, the size of the piece, they're frozen and they're individually portioned to like 1 pound, like 5 to 6 pieces. So I don't know if that's an amazing deal. I probably not. For convenience sake, it's great. But different grocery stores, they always have in their meat department or their seafood department, they have, 50% off, 30% off. I think it's usually 30 for the meat. I try to pay attention to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always a
Yeah.
good way to save money on your meat.
I used to buy it at Sobeys, but
Oh,
geez, I'd buy a big slab of it and then just cut it. I haven't bought it there for quite a while.
yeah, that's a good idea as well. I think those big slabs, you can usually get them on sale as well, and then cut them
Mm-hmm.
and freeze
Yeah.
them as the proportion, like the portion that you need, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do that
So,
even with my chicken breasts, and I freeze them separated into that big
yeah,
package, and then I put them into a freezer bag and pull them out as I need them.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, little tips and tricks.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So
we do both.
you put beets in your salad. I'm not a beet fan.
I love beef.
Oh gosh, not me.
And you
Oh,
know what?
I like them, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I like them pickled,
yeah.
but I
Me
don't
too.
like them just cooked.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what? Just plain on their own. It's funny because I cooked them last night, and my partner, yeah, he was eating them, and he's like, they're a weird taste, but I find in this salad because you have that dressing and all those other good, delicious things.
Right.
It-
You
I
don't
mean,
notice it?
you don't
yeah.
notice it as much. I've also made beets before, and you boil them and you cut them, and then I do like a glaze on them.
Yeah.
And again, like it's just adding a little bit of flavor
Mm.
to get some healthy things. I don't know. Sometimes that, makes it taste a little bit better too, but
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I could try it. Like, I'll try anything, but I've never been a fan of beets.
Yeah. Well, if it's not for you, it's not for you, right?